Hello out there, great land of YouTube and other social media platforms. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We're live Wednesday night, October 19th. Going to be discussing the Werewolf by Night Marvel Studios special. So, we're going to be talking about this. We're going to get a little bit into the mythology of Werewolf by Night too, a little bit, and all that kind of good stuff. So we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about the presentation, and then we're also going to talk about a little bit about the comics too as well. And we're just going to have a lot of fun here. Anyway, so we have an expansive panel, as you can see here. It's an amazingly huge panel. We have several people, as you can see here. We have, I believe, one new person. I believe the other two have been on before, if I recall correctly. I haven't been on with you guys, but I think you have been on the Bleeding Edge before. But I do know Stacy has not been on here before, I don't believe. Stacy is from the Some Real Shit podcast. And we want to welcome you, Stacy. How are you tonight?
Thank you. I'm good.
Awesome. So we also have coming on to the panel tonight is Mr. Chris Fury from the Blurred's Eye View podcast. Welcome, Chris.
What's going on, people? It's your man, Chris Fury, the man on the wall. What's going on?
What's up, man?
What's
going on with you?
Then we also have DC from What the Shit podcast joining us. Welcome, DC.
I don't have no crazy catchphrase, so I'm going to just say what the fuck up.
Awesome.
And there it is.
There you go.
Print and stamp.
What's up?
Cut
There
the
you
check.
go.
Excellent.
Plain and simple. What the fuck?
Excellent. And so DC and Chris, of course, do their podcast together. They both are on both of their podcasts, so that's great to have them. We also have returning from GNN, Mr. William Morgan. How we doing, William?
How's everybody doing tonight? Good to be here once again.
Always glad to have you, William. And of course, we also have returning from the podcast of champions, Lokismom. How we doing, Lokismom?
Doing really, really great. And my screen just had something happen to it. I'm gonna fix it real quick, guys.
Okay.
How you
I'm
doing?
not supposed to be on there.
How you doing, Loki's mom?
And everyone, we
Doing
just
really
got
good.
our free look of who Lokismom really
Just very
is.
Face
briefly.
reveal.
For some reason, it's not wanting to
Face
work.
reveal.
Face
Is that
Unmasking.
Mask.
It's like Ray Mysterio getting his mask ripped off.
Yeah.
That had about 60 times, so at this point, it's not even a surprise.
Oh, and she
we lost
disappeared.
her.
I'm sure she'll be back shortly.
She'll
And
be
of
back.
course, then joining the panel, of course, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Jeff S. Mr. TrueKnowledge is in the house. How we doing, Jeff?
The honorary Wakandan himself.
For 36 hours only. though.
36 hours. He
Only 36
Limited
hours.
time only.
Awesome.
Limited time. And if you go Ezra Miller, we might have to revoke that shit faster.
In response to Chris and DC earlier on with their 7 seasons or whatever they're talking about, I'm actually on my 7th season, making sure I do at least 10 threesomes a year. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So just to be clear, that's where I'm at with my seasons.
Definitely got to keep those numbers up, man.
Yes.
People,
Right.
People are
Right.
always, you never know who's watching.
Facts.
Thanks.
You need to keep them stats going. You need to keep them stats up, boy. Get them stats going.
There you go.
Average Jacoby numbers.
Yeah.
You don't want to end up in neutral when it comes to getting tail, baby.
Nah.
Excellent.
Hit them
Awesome.
Wilt Chamberlain stats. Them Wilt Chamberlain numbers.
Will Chamberlain. Oh,
Now
yeah.
we're talking.
Yeah, boy.
Yo, that actress that plays Elsa Bloodstone in the movie was fucking hot, man.
You talking about Laura Donnelly?
That's
Apparently,
I always
yes.
forget her name. Always forget her name.
Ooh,
I
she
thought
was
she
bad.
was
Donnelly
Miss
played
Carter
Elsa
or
Bloodstone.
something.
Hey, I've seen some pictures of her looking kind of homely too, though. She's
Homely.
she's like in the mid. She sometimes
Some good. She got good days and good bad days.
good days and bad
Good
days.
days.
Yeah,
Good days. Wait, say that. Good days and good bad
good
days.
days and good
Yeah.
bad days.
That sounds
Yeah.
about. That sounds about right.
Good
That sounds
days
right.
and good bad days.
She's the type of girl that look good with makeup. She gotta be
Yeah.
made up. And
Them
her
the
gotta
good
be
bad
right.
days.
Yeah, she ain't like Gal Gadot. You know,
She
someone who
does
just
with
look good regardless.
bag on her head? Okay.
All right. Thank
Got
you,
Loki's
everyone.
mom back. Y'all better,
We got Loki's
y'all better remember this episode. Face reveal. Y'all remember this episode?
Face reveal. All right. So what we're going to do for you folks out there is we're going to play the trailer for you guys so that we can get a little refresher of what Werewolf by Night is. And from there, we'll go on and start discussing this bad boy. So if you have that ready, Jeff, we are ready to view. Well, that's not Werewolf by Night.
That's
Black
Muskrat by
Brie
Night.
Larson.
That's a stick figure right there, y'all.
That is Muskrat by Night.
That's a stick figure right there. That's a mop with a costume.
That's
right.
That's not
That's
she
a
got
mop
no
with a
ass.
costume.
She
Look
got
at
no
that. That ain't about
acetone
nothing.
disease.
Straight board.
Nasitol. That's Nasitol. Yeah.
Straight
That's
board.
That's for you, William. That's a little present for you, William.
Wait,
No,
how about
no,
Dave Chappelle
sir.
say? How
I'll
Dave
throw that
Chappelle
one
say
back
it, a
to you,
good-
Jeff. You can
a
have
good
that
pan-
one, bro.
A good pancake butt.
Yeah, pancake.
Stacy can't hold it already.
Pancake butt.
Yeah.
That's what
You
that
look at her
was.
from the side, it's like a letter L.
She built like the number one. That was she built like the number
Yeah,
one.
the number
Maybe
one.
The number
she was
one. That
just
was she built
pulling-
like.
Yeah, but maybe she was just pulling her butt in. That got her.
Oh,
like
she's
that.
if that's her, put that picture back on the screen. If she's sucking her butt in like that,
No way. No way.
That's an
Put it
earthquake.
back. Put it back. She was pulling it in. That was
For
all.
what? There wasn't much to pull in, so she really wasn't straining.
I mean, there's ads out there actually looking for a butt double for her. There's actually ads out there looking for that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
There were ads looking for that.
They need
for
two.
real. Looking
They
for a
need
butt
two.
double.
One for
Like,
each cheek.
she can get toned, but she strikes me as one that can't really put weight on.
Yeah.
Oh, she got weight on her. It just ain't in her butt.
It just in her butt.
This Halloween, you can't escape the shock, the terror of Werewolf by Night.
Tonight, it is every hunter for themselves.
Good luck. I'll be rotting for you.
But one of you is a monster, masquerading as one of our own. I can't wait to find out what breed of evil you are. You wanna see this, darling?
Please don't do this. Death is coming for you! Werewolf by Night.
Whoa, that was awesome, folks out there. What a great little trailer. It really was a solid trailer, I thought. So, and that it really gave us kind of a nice little taste of what it was going to be. It didn't really give too much away, but at the same time, it still gave us enough to entice us. So, Mr. William, we only have you for a short, brief few minutes, sir. And we would like you to say your adieus and let us know what you thought of Werewolf by Night before you end up leaving us.
Real quick, when Jeff asked me to come on and do this, I've never seen this show. I've seen the comics or whatnot, but I've never seen the show. So I watched it today for the very first time. First of all, I was impressed because it was in black and white. That's the first thing I was impressed about, because that's what normal horror movies back in the day, 40s, 50s, 60s, gave you horror movies in black and white. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'm happy to see the debut of Man-Thing. I'm happy to see him. Happy to see him in there.
Everybody
That
needs
was
to stand in their life.
That was fantastic for me. I've been waiting for him to make his debut. This is a good thing. Third, I thought the cast was great, and everything that you did to incorporate them, even though they wasn't around that long, they were just around enough for you to get emotionally invested in them and find out what they're doing, find out what they're about. So I enjoyed it. I think it's six. I think it's going to be a 6-episode series or something like that at some point. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was great.
Excellent. Was there anything else you would like to say before we bid you adieu, sir?
Real quick, I host the Geek Gauntlet podcast over on Geek News Now. if you want to come and check me out, I am on Facebook. I am on Twitch. Under the Geek Gauntlet podcast, we talk everything Marvel, DC, anime, video games. We talk everything. So you guys want to come over and join me, check me out Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'll holler at you guys later. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
You too, William.
Bye.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
You too now.
Hawkeye.
All right. So, awesome, William. Hopefully he'll be back. But yes, he has other obligations to pursue. All right. So, we start off this series with a great title card. As you can see behind me, you can see the title card there, Werewolf by Night. I think that was a really classic way of starting off. The very reminiscent of the 1930s horror films like Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and stuff like that. Very similar to that. Even the Abbott Costello movies as well. And it's a very good start. Then we start off, it has that basically that voiceover that talks to us, basically giving us kind of a history into the monsters and monster hunters, telling us a little bit about what they are, what they were doing, about the Bloodstone line and how they basically have been kind of like the predominant family of monster hunters for centuries, and that they are basically holding the Bloodstone, which has powers to basically do many different things to monsters and stuff like that. And, you know, it has other magical powers, but they don't really go deep into it, but it does have magical powers and they've been in possession of it. And we kind of get that voiceover a little bit, telling us a little bit about that and all that kind of good stuff. And then basically it goes from that voiceover and it goes to the introduction to the episode or into this presentation. But before we go on with that, let's talk a little bit more about the actual Werewolf by Night comic. So the first version was actually released back in May of 1972, or February 1972, sorry, called under the Marvel Spotlight comic number 2. It was the first time we got Werewolf by Night in the comic. It wasn't his first feature length, you know, actual comic of his own, but he was in it and was a part of the comic. Now, it was created actually not by Stan Lee. Stan Lee actually came up with a title for it. He did have that kind of say in this, but actually it was actually brought to us by a couple of gentlemen that were big Marvel writers, artists, and stuff like that throughout, you know, the 70s and 60s and so forth, called Roy Thomas was one of them, and so was I believe his name was Gary. Let's see, Gary. I wrote it down. Why am I not seeing it? Gary. I forget what his full name was. Gary something. But him and Roy are the two ones that created the comic itself. They wrote it. They did the illustrations, stuff like that. They actually did a lot of illustrations throughout the 70s for a lot of different Marvel comics and stuff like that, which was really interesting. You know, the creative team consisted of Jerry Conway, like I was talking about earlier, and then Mike Plug. And Mike Plug and Jerry Conway actually did a lot of other, like I said before, a lot of the other comics throughout the 70s and stuff like that. They did other Werewolf by Night comics and so forth and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of interesting. But to those that don't know this, but there's actually 2 versions of Werewolf by Night. There's the Jack Russell, which is the original from the 70s. Then we also have one that they came out with in 2020 called Jake Gomez, which was a run they did in the early, or it was like around October of 2020 they came out with it, and they did a small run with this Werewolf by Night as well. I'm actually thankful they decided to go along with the original classic Jack Russell version versus that one. Kind of like what they did with Miss Marvel. They decided to go with the newer version of Miss Marvel. I was glad they decided to stick with the original version. It gave us a little more insight into this character, and I feel it had a better connection than that newer series. But moving on, beginning scene here, we all of a sudden pops up Jake Russell's there, or Jack Russell, I should say, which is basically named after the dog. They actually, the creator of Werewolf by Night said that he named Jack Russell after his Jack Russell Terrier he had. And I thought that was kind of a funny fact. But anyway, so it starts off, shows Jack Russell aka Gail Garcia Bernal. And he's coming into this room, and this giant room has all these different types of hieroglyphics on the walls. We got different stuffed animal heads on the walls and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch of other people in the room that we end up finding out are, hunters eventually. So so basically we are introduced to the awesome Gail Garcia Bernal. And so we basically get that. We get that introduction to him and the hunters. We get our first look at the bloodstone. We see, as it's going around the room, we see the bloodstone right in the middle, and we get kind of a glimpse of color a little bit there in the black and white situation, because the bloodstone throughout the whole presentation is in red. So we see that there is some color to this film. So as that goes on, basically we end up finding out why they're all there. They're all there basically to see who the next lead hunter is going to be. And that's kind of explained that Ulysses' bloodstone has passed, and that now it's time for all the hunters to see who the ultimate hunter is to end up becoming the next leader of the monster hunters, basically. We have a great conversation between Jack and Jovan, who is another hunter, and they kind of talked about, Jovan talks a little bit about his history, how long he's been doing this, and stuff like that. We have that interesting story. We get to see all those trophies in the room, like I said, and all the different hieroglyphics and stuff like that. So to stop there, my first question for the panel is, did anybody notice all the Easter eggs around that room? And did anybody notice any particular of the busts in the room that are of the killed monsters and stuff like that you recognized from other comic books? So that's my first question to the panel, starting with you, Chris.
The fact that Jack recognizes a creature he's fought before, which is a vampire. It's not Dracula, but it is a vampire bat. And the fact that he's like, oh, I've tussled with him a few times. And I just thought that was funny that they even mentioned that. But I'm like, it's not the Dracula one, but it's not Moreland either. But we don't know who he is exactly.
It's Count Orlok.
That was the other name.
Yeah, he's actually, if you've ever seen the classic black and white, sorry to interrupt, just to let you know.
Yeah.
It was the Nosferatu movies. Well, the German movie called Nosferatu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Count Orlok.
Always knowing he's not as what was he known on what we do in the shadows, like the Count or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was funny to see that, and I was trying to see the one hunter, the one black hunter. Honestly, I had to look at him again because I thought it was Jay Farrell. I thought it was the comedian Jay Farrell, and I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that's not Jay Farrell. He favors Jay Farrell. He's not talking like Jay-Z or anybody, so it's okay. But yeah, I really dug what they were showing. I like the fact that with it being shot in black and white, and they show the bloodstone, and if you notice, it only shone like really bright when Elsa walked near it. It started to have like a pulsating vibe to it. So yeah, little things like that I was picking up on, and I said, yeah, I like what they're doing. The face paint for Jack, I do believe it was something of his. It's something from his ancestors. I do know that, but like the actual meaning, I'm not sure.
Yeah, which was actually funny is I believe it has to do with the werewolf ancestry is what it has to deal with. And I didn't really go into deep detail into researching that, but I do believe that they do refer to them as lichen, and that there's a little bit more history, that there's a long line actually of his ancestors that have turned into werewolves at night that he's a part of. And I think that's kind of what that tribal makeup is for, is those previous people.
There is Cyber, the Rusoff family that then becomes Russell. The Rusoff family is known for lycanthropy, like, throughout history. Like his ancestors have been werewolves for literally hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying? And some of his ancestors have actually had heavy dealings with Cthon, and the Darkhold and whatnot and everything, like actually one of his ancestors, Gregor Rusov, actually literally obtained the Darkhold scrolls and was the first one in 1930 to actually go ahead and put them back into form, because at that point the Darkhold was just scrolls. And basically he sold part of his estate in 1930, and part of the estate that he sold, part of his estate was Wundagore Mountain to, of all people, Herbert Wyndham, who is of course the High Evolutionary. Now the Wundagore Mountain is where the Scarlet Witch and like Quicksilver came from. You know what I'm saying? And where the mountain was, where the mountain gave birth and whatnot and everything. That's where Wundagore Mountain was at. That's where Cthon was like imprisoned. So I just wanted to bring up that tidbit. So his family does have a lot of dealings with like, a lot of like the big aspects of the whole, Midnight Suns, Mephisto, that aspect of the comic, Marvel comic verse.
Thank you. Yeah, like I was saying, I feel there was definitely a Lycan descendant there, which I believe I remember reading at some point. But thank you. That's exactly what I remember reading. Anyway, so moving on. Lokismom, your thoughts on any Easter eggs or any of those trophies or the writing on the wall in this sequence?
I never read Werewolf by Night, so I'm not familiar at all. Here we go again with not knowing who I'm. I mean, I knew that it was a character and whatnot, but so as far as the trophies, I did recognize Count Orlok, but otherwise, I'm assuming these were all monsters familiar to the Marvel world. But when he walks into when we introduce into the hallway and you see this tapestry on the wall on either side of the wall, and that looks like a playoff of the Bayo tapestry, which is actually in a tapestry, but an embroidery, a long sheet embroidery, and that tells the story of the Battle of Hastings, 1066, yada yada. But I did notice there was like monsters in it and whatnot, and then so it's sort of letting us know that this goes way on back, like 1,000 years, and so we're getting back into where Thor and Odin and all of them were pretty active on Earth back in the Dark Age period. So I thought that was an interesting little tie-in there with that. But otherwise, no, I didn't recognize. But I did like how like I said, the black and white, the retro feel to it. You really get that, like to say, B picture that would, first reeler about a 90-minute movie or 80-minute movie or something like that. And I thought they did a real good job of recreating that atmosphere.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on to Stacy, your thoughts.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I did not read the comics growing up. I literally just jumped right into the movies and stuff. But that's why I think like I love the way they brought the cinematography of it with the black and white. Like there's some creatures that I remember, but I'm not even really sure exactly where I saw them before. So I was looking at it. The only thing I was kind of confused when the guy said, I'm not sure if it was the Viking or if it was the stepmom, called him a death dealer. So I was curious about that because I was just like, something you could just tell when the character first walks in. You're like, he's not supposed to be there and she's not supposed to be there, but everybody else looks extremely serious and they're ready to do this. So when he said death dealer, I was like, I'm not sure exactly. I didn't fall into that. So that's what I was curious about. But I liked everything about it. I liked the fact that it was a black and white, and that's the only thing that really stood out. And I didn't know if it was going to be a 6 series. I thought it was just a one-time thing for Halloween. So I'm learning a lot from you guys from being on this show because, like I said, I really didn't read the comics that well, but it was really well written.
Excellent. Did you notice anything in the sequence? Did you notice any of the busts or any of the trophies or any of the hieroglyphics that were in the room in that sequence?
No, I was kind of focused on his the face paint, the white on his thing. I wasn't sure if that had anything to do. I was still trying to figure out each character. You know, like what was Elsa's character? Why was the stepmom so? You know, my thing is always about the character and what role they play and why was she so angry at Elsa and why in God's name did the Ulysses decide he was going to be that one little thing that you see. I think it was Big, that movie Big, where the
fortune teller.
Cranking it. Yeah, the fortune teller. That's what I thought of when I saw that, and I was like, what is this? So no, that was the only thing I was paying attention to.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. DC, same question, sir.
I was confused. I happened to watch it at like midnight after a show, so I was kind of like trying to give it a chance. I want to go back and watch it again now that I've had time to process what was going on. Because to me, it was kind of weird. The black and white threw me off. Wasn't expecting that. It was a nice touch, though. They really played up the old monsters from back in the days. Watching Frankenstein and all that. I didn't see none of the trophies because I was focused on the main character. Because like Stacy said, something about him just didn't feel. One of these things are not like the other. Like everybody else in that
like
room,
the Viking
kind of fit. You know, as you've seen him, like, oh, he's a killer. He's a killer. He's weird, but he still might be a killer. And then you got this guy who just looked like he was there for something else. So I was kind of focused on what was his ulterior motive. And after seeing it, and also Man Thing was fucking awesome.
Everybody needs a Ted in their life.
Yeah, everybody has a friend like Ted.
Yeah.
But no, it was different. Like I said, I want to go back and give it another shot. I was disappointed. I'll save my disappointment for later because we're not at that point yet. But I was kind of disappointed in it. Because it was like because the reason why is when they were announcing it, it made it feel like there was a Moon Knight tie-in, you know. So I'm like, oh shit, we got Moon Knight fighting a werewolf. I can go for that. And then it was this, and I was like, this ain't what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, he was actually. Yeah,
I was depressed.
In the book, it was Moon Knight's first appearance.
I was depressed, Stacy. I was clinically depressed for about 36 hours because I was like, this ain't what I thought it was gonna be.
It's not on the same clock as the other 36 hours.
No, he had this separate from his 36 hours.
Okay.
But no, because going into Moon Knight was fucking amazing. Then I was like, oh yeah, Werewolf by Night, you know. And then I was like, oh sweet, so we get extra. And then it was this weird story with Jack in the Box, and he's telling weird dead man stories, and it's just, jokes, and it was just caught me by surprise. But overall, it was decent. I'm gonna go back and give it another watch before I really give up hope on it. But I liked it. It was different. Something good for Halloween.
Awesome. Thank you. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Jeff is stuck on that Brie Larson ass.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know when somebody's like full face to the screen and shit.
I'm already living with irreversible erectile dysfunction anyway from She-Hulk episode 7 still. You know what I'm saying? So at that point,
well, you better use your 36 hours of Wakanda to fix that.
Hey, Brie Larson's boy ass can't even affect me at that point. I'm already irreversible erectile dysfunction, baby. So even at that point, like, you can't really go any farther than that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can't fuck me up any worse. I mean,
you know what Brie Larson can do to help her ass? Just stuff some of that money she makes down her pants, and she'll have a great big old ass.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, just
yeah, we're complaining about her ass, but she's making the millions. So
hey, all I know is they can pay me to be her butt double. I've got a curvier ass than Brie does. You know what I'm saying? And I'm skinny as fuck.
I'll take your word for it.
You know, but
we're not asking for proof or anything.
It was good. It was good to see.
She can afford butt implants by now.
No, she already has in her contract. She has in her contract with Disney and Marvel that she can only have butt implants if it's a trans person that's butt implants. They go into her butt.
No,
Right,
they
goes-
don't. They don't have. No, gosh, no. You silicone. They just use same thing they put in boobs. They put in the butt.
I know that. I'm just
You don't
kidding.
complain
No, but
about the boobs.
no. I'm just making fun of
Oh,
Bree
yeah.
and her
Just
exclusivity,
because she's
whatever
a big person
contract.
and she can take it, and she's got a
Ain't
big
complaining
pile of
about the
money. And she
Frank
don't give a
Ocean
shit
memes.
what you say.
Well, either way,
About
hey,
her
I got my
ass.
Captain Marvel, I got my Captain Marvel poster right up there, right up above me. But no, it was good to see like the MonsterVerse come into the MCU finally. Like, you know, before we get Blade, we get this. You know what I mean? Like this is,
Yeah.
you know, before until we get Blade, this is the closest we're gonna get to like the
Some
Ghost
horror,
Rider.
well, other
Or has a
horror, yeah.
knockoff blade there, guys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, you know, I don't know. It's interesting that they decided to use Werewolf by Night as a vehicle to bring this part of the Marvel comic universe back, you know, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That they would use him, sort of to convey this type of like motif or whatever and whatnot that they did. And I thought everybody in the panel made really good points in terms of like mentioning how great it was to see the black and white aspect of like the beginning of the movie or TV movie or whatever. It was really like a great throwback. And it made me think of WandaVision a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, but it was great to see the throwback stuff to like, you know, the original Frankenstein films, you know what I mean? And like the original Dracula, you know, and all that and whatnot from like the 30s and the 40s and everything and whatnot. It was great to see that kind of vibe. And yeah,
They even
that
had those
opening,
like those cigarette burns that would normally see on
Yeah,
those type
yeah.
of films back then.
yeah, you're right about that. They did have that too. They even made it like how the film itself would look. You know, like when how they would play it in the projector or whatever. I think, or yeah, I know what you're talking about. But no, the dialogue between the one hunter, the Viking guy, Stacy called him. I forget his name. Was that Jovan? Or was that
Jovan.
Kirk R.
I
Thatcher?
think he's a Highlander. I think he's a Scotsman.
Well, Jovan and the dialogue between Jovan and Jack Russell is great. It's an excellent opening.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
I could smell the blood on your when he brags about the kills. He's like, I could practically smell the blood on your hands.
Like how cordial
And I
they
knew
are
why.
with each other. Yeah, like how cordial they are with each other, and like how that actor Kirk R. Thatcher that plays Jovan is very charismatic. You know what I'm saying? Like he really is. You know, like you know, he's just the whole vibe of it. The whole vibe of the conversation was great. I just thought that like Stacy
He came
said,
off
the
extremely friendly. That's what it was. He came off extremely
It
friendly.
was well written in general, and the story was well done. You know what I'm saying? It's a very contained, short, like, you know, special. It was only an hour long, less than an hour long. But for what they did, what they had to work with, they flushed that bitch out good. You know what I'm saying? Like it was well done. I was really very high on the whole thing. The intro was great, and honestly, I don't see how anybody could be completely disappointed with this shit at this point. Like you can say what you want about She-Hulk, but this shit was dope.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about the reason why
Why the Peter laugh? It was damn near the Peter laugh at that point.
I thought it was Viking. It was the way he was just so into it. He was like, "I'm ready to go to Valhalla." Like that's what I was waiting for him to say, because I was just like, this guy's really excited about going after like all this. You see the scars on his the splash mark on his face.
He lives for the hunt.
So yeah, he does. So you were just like, I was surprised.
That-
I think
really
he
thought
was
That's how I get
like-
pumped up. That's how I get pumped up when I go on dating sites.
The actor's
You know what I'm
name is
saying?
Kirk. The actor's name
Yeah.
is Kirk Thatcher. Kirk Thatcher, and it says in the wiki bio here that he's actually started out as George Lucas special effects. He actually started.
Yeah, I thought he was
Light
Brie Larson's
magic.
hair double.
Yeah, but he could create
he has
Brie
no
Larson's butt, and you never know it wasn't real.
All right, thank you. All right, so moving on. So then we're introduced to Elsa Bloodstone, who is played by Laura Donnelly, as we mentioned earlier. She ends up having a discussion with her stepmother, Barusa Bloodstone, which I think has a really cool name. Barusa, that's kind of a cool name. I like that. But that actress is actually Harriet Sampson Harry, who is actually, you might recognize from Addams Family Values. She plays one of the characters at the camp, Mother. that we're introduced to in that film, which was really fun.
I still love
So-
that scene.
Yeah, that's a great scene. And so they have a combo, which is kind of interesting. Basically, saying, "Oh, I'm surprised you're here, and it's great. I'm glad you're here. You can be here, and all this kind of stuff." And they have that kind of conversation, and you learn a little bit that she's your stepmother and stuff like that. And then that's when it goes basically to the big room, and it shows all the hunters together. And Bruce is there, and she kind of explains a little bit, and then she has a reanimated corpse of her dead husband basically explain what's going on. And so we have this kind of cool like zombie like little scene there, and basically he at the very end he ends up saying, "I'll be rotting for you," which was absolutely a great line. I thought was absolutely hilarious.
The look
And-
everyone had
DD
was
mega doo-doo. I'm sorry.
Okay. Random.
That's Jeff for you.
I'm like, wait.
What were you saying, Chris?
I said, I said the
DD
look that
Magaduki.
the look that the rest of the hunters had when they seen Ulysses' corpse, basically talking to him, was kind of like I had the same look. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, we all had to collectively had the same look watching it.
Like, what is this shit?
Tiamat couldn't.
Right.
I was like, wait, is this the tequila? Am I drunk? This motherfucker dead and talking in a box? Okay.
Oh, but the
Hand
cranky was
movements and all.
classical. No, the cranky.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
cranking him as he was doing it, like he was a jack in the box.
Oh, that motherfucker don't get paid enough.
That was the best part.
So basically, the corpse explains exactly what's going on and who
I think Jeff
Basically-
is frozen.
probably
Oh,
is.
Oh, he
no,
was.
he's not.
Yeah, he had that weird look in his face. He was like,
No, he's still staring at the sport.
That's just Jeff.
I'm trying to conserve my energy for the next chick I turn out tomorrow or whatever. You never know. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be
close
ready.
your mouth. I thought you was frozen. He was just like,
That's just Jeff. He's like a walking corpse, like this Ulysses guy.
I see Drew. You must be looking at Brie Larson's ass still.
Probably.
Wah, wah, nah.
So anyway, so
for our merch, I'm gonna have a T-shirt that has a picture of me with my mouth open, and then it's gonna have a equal sign, and then say big penis. You know, like going into the mouth.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. What was
Old
you
choice.
saying, Cyber?
Okay.
Cyber, can you continue, please? Thank you.
so anyways, so basically, like I said, the deceased husband Ulysses explains that they're now going to be looking for a new leader, and I had mentioned that earlier before. So that's basically what the whole meeting is about, and basically they end up finding that they have to basically fight to the death, destroy this monster that they have to become the next leader of the Bloodstone. So after that, it basically pans and it shows. And it goes to them, showing them with a skull as Bruce is talking a little bit more. And, yes, hello, God.
I'm about to say, Mauro just buzzed in.
It's ready for the monster. Get ready for the monster kill.
Exactly, yeah. And so all of a sudden it shows Barusa talking, and there's a skull there, and there's some like little papers inside the skulls, basically saying who, basically what order they're going to go in, like as they go out into the battlefield to take on the monster. And as they're doing that, basically they're dropping off these little medallions that you see in a plate next to the skull. And I think those were basically, like they're kind of their key to getting into this event, basically to be a part of this monster hunting thing. So they drop those off, they grab their paper. We find out that Jack Russell is the first to enter into the arena to go after the monster. And so then it shows him, and he's walking with, I believe it's like the servant guy. He's got the light up and stuff like that. And he's following him, and as he's going into the area to, basically find the, to go into the arena to find this supposed monster. And so we basically see him kind of do that, go in, and then everyone starts to go in, and they all start to search. And as that goes on, the first two to meet each other is Elsa and Jack. And so, basically, they end up meeting each other, and they're kind of like, yeah, he's like, you go that way, I go this way. We didn't see each other, basically. This is what Jack says. And she's kind of like, okay. So they start to go their own ways. That's when Jovan comes in and starts going after, like, to attack them. And basically Jovan and Elsa have a kind of a brief battle, and she ends up getting away. So basically Elsa gets out of the way and starts to continue on her hunt. So that happens, and then Elsa escapes, continues searching for the monster. As she's searching, she comes across another hunter, and basically they end up fighting. And then this is that gentleman that we saw earlier that kind of has some face paint and stuff like that, and he has like a bow and like an arrow thing on his wrist that he can shoot, kind of like Hawkeye almost a little bit. And so he, like, all of a sudden his hand pops out of this doorway as she's searching and starts shooting those arrow things at her. And basically they go into this giant, like, ruckus of a battle. And she chops off his arm, and they're still battling each other. He's trying to get the axe to stop her. And basically they end up falling into the crevice over on the side, and she's like holding him and holding his mouth, while all of a sudden Jovan pops back up and is looking around a little bit, and then sees the axe and ends up picking up the axe and taking it. And ends up taking that axe, and she's like, ah, crap, kind of deal, like, oh, why did you take, she doesn't say that, but all of a sudden after he leaves, that she kind of takes her hand off the guy's mouth, we all of a sudden find out that he's dead and that he has died. So after that, so let's talk a little bit about that sequence there, that beginning entrance into the tournament, basically. What are your guys' thoughts on this? What did you think of that fight sequence? And was there anything that, you found interesting, or was there something that you didn't like about the sequence? Starting with you, Chris.
It wasn't over the top or anything like that. The actress Laura Donnelly, not used to seeing her doing like action stuff, and seeing that, I'm like, okay, you can tell she wanted to do those stunts herself and get those out the way. I did like that whole flip around scene that she does with that guy who has the arrow on his wrist and manages to get the axe, and boom, done. So I thought that was really cool. But you could tell in like the interaction between her and Jack, where he's just like, look, I'm not even here for this. It's crazy. He's pretty much like, look, I'm not even here for this. I'm totally here on something else. You can pretend you haven't even seen me, and you could tell she's not really he definitely doesn't want to deal in the fight. And she's just kind of like, okay, I'm picking a vibe off this guy, and he's not like the rest of them. So I'm gonna just let that go, because I'm not even here for the fight. I'm here for something else.
Most definitely, yeah. You got that vibe from how he was kind of talking to her in that sequence there when they bumped into each other. You could get that he wasn't really there to become a leader, really.
Yeah.
You kind of had that vibe, most definitely. Lokismom, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was there again. It carried on the motif of the 50 style horror picture, and one little thing, kind of when that gramophone where there is playing in that weird garden, it says out in the garden, but it looks more like art, plants and architecture and whatnot. But anyway, on the record player, they've got an LP on there, and they didn't have LP. LPs would not have been played on that type of gramophone. It would have been like what they call those platters, the 77 platters. But anyway, that's just a little thing just jumped out at me that probably y'all would have never noticed. But anyway,
you talking about the LPXX?
Talking about records.
The record player.
Oh, the record player.
LP
Okay.
wasn't invented until the night. Of course, I think this is actually contemporary. So I think this is set in modern day. It's not actually set in the 1950s. But
oh no, yeah.
But that just was kind of out of place on a gramophone, playing that type of hinky type music that would have been played on a record. I don't think it would have been on an LP. It would have been a 77 platter, one of those thick records. If you've ever seen them before, in antique stores or something. Those big old heavy, hard vinyl records. That was the original type of records. They played on those type of record players or gramophones. A little history lesson there. I didn't mean to bore you, but yeah, the whole thing was, like I said, it was well done, and I like that she's. I like her character, how she fights. She's got the acrobatic style like Black Widow, where she's using that and using her speed and whatnot. So I thought that was good. How we don't really see Jack Russell doing too much action. He's just basically creeping around.
Yeah.
Trying to stay out of the way, trying not to get
almost oblivious almost
Yeah.
when
and just pass by, just walk past me, like we don't see each other, And so anyway, I thought it was, and so there's a little bit of comedy element, added into it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of, y'all probably seen it, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein or something like that. It's kind of had that little humor vibe to it.
Mm. Yeah.
Those are classics, really great movies. If you haven't seen them, definitely check them out. They're on Blu-ray. They're beautiful in high definition. They're amazing films. All right, thank you, Lokismom. Stacy,
Cyber, I saw the actual version of the drive-in porno version of that one actually myself.
Abbott and Costello they really were having at each other, weren't they?
You saw the gay version? Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
No, the drive-in porn version.
Yeah, the gay version.
They were two guys, so it would have been gay.
Hey, you know
Abbott
what?
and Costello.
They have that gay stuff these days.
So, just saying. Anyways, Stacy, your thoughts. Did you hear what we were talking about?
No, I kind of lost battery there, so I had to jump back in.
All right, so we basically went over, the introduction of Elsa and Verussa. Then we talked a little bit about how basically what they were there for, and they were doing this contest to see who the next leader was. We get to basically the introduction to them going out into the field there to find the monster, and there's the fight sequence between Elsa and the other hunter guy that's there.
Okay.
And basically she cuts off his hand. They fight. She ends up falling over the crack with him, and she's holding on to him while Jovan pops back up to grab the axe, and that's basically where
I
we
remember
stopped.
That part.
All right, so that's what we're talking about. So your thoughts on that little beginning intro there to the finding the monster?
I thought that was exciting because I always watch Marvel movies for the action, and if they didn't have any action in it and it was just kind of basic, like, slasher thing, I probably would be bored. So when she started, because I didn't know what her role was, I thought she was going to be the damsel in distress type of thing since it was in black and white, and I thought the Jack character was going to be the one to save her. So I thought that's what was going to happen. But then when she started just kicking ass, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I thought was going to happen. And I don't know why you guys keep saying field. Like, I see a maze. Like, when they started showing, it was literally a maze to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were trying to figure out where, kind of like when you do one of those maze puzzles, when it has start at the top and end, and then at the end. So that's what I was thinking. The monster was somewhere at the end, and then but yeah, I mean, it was weird to me how they just kind of killed off all the characters so quickly, like got them,
they meant
bam,
nothing.
bam, bam. Yeah, indispensable, or yeah, if that's the word. But yeah, like I thought there was gonna be a big fight scene. I know this might sound like kind of racist, but I thought there was gonna be a big fight scene between her and the Asian guy at some point. But it was kind of like, bam, bam, you're dead. That was it.
Just shows how badass Elsa really is.
Yeah.
I
mean, the Viking guy, I was like, okay, he's like swinging an axe, but she's faster, and it's a heavy axe. So the time that it takes him to just pick it up and swing it, she's already got like 2 or 3 hits on him already. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was like my favorite scene actually. Was that?
Awesome. Thank you. DC, your thoughts, sir?
Disney let them unalive somebody. Like, unalive somebody. Like, that is
Somebody.
wild to me. Like, the fact that they let her shoot that arrow through his face and show it, oh, man, it's a brave new world in Disney. Like, that was beautiful to me.
That's not a pun. That's not a pun.
No, I mean, it was beautiful because, you know, Disney has, up until this point, has been squeaky clean. And, you know, the fact that they're about to let us get real action, you know, really get into the what makes comic books great is the action, the blood, the guts, the gore, all that stuff. Like, it's beautiful. Like, that scene was a tone setter for what we can get going forward.
Yeah.
It was like a modern
Like, Disney let them
classic.
unalive somebody.
They got a thing for cutting hands off. Definitely.
Well, yeah, but this was like she shot him through the jaw. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was
Yeah, it's still hanging out of his mouth.
yeah, like that wasn't no regular kill shot. Like they showed it. It wasn't no like turn away, wink, wink. Here's what might have happened. No, they showed it.
And it
wasn't no off-screen
Just
kill.
laying there. She was just laying
No,
there
but
like
Darius-
holding him dead until he's
Darius,
dead.
it wasn't comedic. It wasn't comedic like Doctor Strange.
No, and
2
that's the
was
other
there.
thing. It wasn't
Oh,
like
yeah.
a funny like ha ha he's dead. No, it was like, hey, this motherfucker is dead. D-I-E. Dead.
Or dying.
Like they actually showed somebody dying, like wasn't no off-screen thing. Cause you know, a lot of times they do that off-screen, and you cut back and you see like his feet twitching or some shit like that, some weird implication that he might be dead or implying he's dead. No, they showed this motherfucker full death from beginning to end.
Like she's lying there. Yeah, she's lying there holding him until he dies, and she's just like,
And there's
hurry up.
blood, even though it was like
Yeah.
a weird dark tint to it, but it was blood there. Like, you
And
know
that's
what I mean?
what and that's what I loved about that as well, is the fact they get you some of these splatters of blood, and the fact that's in black and
When
white.
the last time Disney showed blood like that?
Exactly.
Never.
And it
Because it was
reminded me of like older comics before the Comics Code Authority kicked, before it expired. They used to show like pools of blood when somebody died, especially in Wolverine comics, or was slashed or whatever. You wouldn't get actual red blood splashes on the page. You would get like shadows of blood splatter, or pools in the blood will be pooled, but it would be black, to just imply. Now it's now
Everything's on the table.
yeah.
mm-hmm. They're up in there.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
I
Thank you.
was waiting on your reaction, D.
I just didn't wasn't expecting that. Okay. Keep us on the toes. All right.
Due to inflation, one good girl is now worth 1,132.13 bitches.
I'm not gonna lie and say that math is flawed, but all right.
It works, I guess.
I don't know, man. That's a lot of nagging. But anywho,
It's a lot of numbers.
That's the
Sorry,
blood.
Renee, I'm good with one, maybe two on the weekend, but that's a lot of gifts, especially this time of year, Christmas. How many gifts that is? Shit.
A lot of gifts.
A lot of fucking gifts. But yeah, it was beautiful to see because because I'm a Deadpool fan, and Deadpool being on Disney Plus also gives me a lot of hope of what the future holds. Because I was scared when Disney got the rights to those kind of properties where there's gonna be action, blood, guts, cussing, and all that. Because Disney hasn't had a track record of showing us that, at least not fully in its purest form and the glory that it is. So Wolverine being on there, or Logan, or all that stuff being on there, and they're not playing it safe. They're not sugarcoating it. They're giving you it in its entirety. Like I said, it gives me hope because I was leery about the future.
They basically looked at Netflix and said, "We're going to do what you're doing, and do it better, because why not?"
Fuck Netflix.
Yes, that.
All right. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I want to back up Darius on that. I think Darius makes a good point, pointing out that this gives him hope. like for the MCU Phase 4 and whatnot, and for the MCU, because a lot of fans are pessimistic right now. You know what I'm saying? You know, if they weren't pessimistic already, then we got She-Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that whole fucking shit bomb towards the end there. You know what I'm saying? Like, bottom line, you know, all due respect to She-Hulk. You know what I mean? And Tatiana Maslany acted her fucking ass off in that series too. I'm not even saying she didn't, because she did, but the series just sucked. Like the story and everything and whatnot and whatever. But bottom line, it's good to see. I think, you know, Renee, I think you'd agree that it's good to see Darius saying something like that. You know what I mean? And feeling like this rejuvenates him.
Hold your horses there. I don't know about rejuvenation, because there was a lot of fucked up shit they did. It doesn't make me want to cancel it like I cancel Netflix. How about that? I canceled Netflix because they fucked up a lot. So I'm not canceling them yet, as far as my subscription to Disney Plus, because I was nervous because I like Deadpool. I like the full action. You know what I mean? I like Logan. I'm a Wolverine fan, so being able to see those and not have it sugar-coated or them hide things away like I'm a kid makes me happy that they're not shying away from it. They're going to give us what we want.
No, I'm with you on that, and I just wish that we could have gotten some more of that graphic, you know, type of content in like the Moon Knight series, for instance. You know what I'm saying? If we could have gotten that in there, that would have done something for me as a fan and would have done more for me. You know, but bottom line, as far as the scenes you're talking about, Cyber, hats off to everybody in the panel that talked about Man Thing. Man Thing was dope as shit, man. Ted was like, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta love Ted.
Oh yeah, him and Alligator Loki are like tied for like, you know, the best of the best for like the last 2 years. Oh, that and the chick from She-Hulk, the drunk chick that always had a hand in her, a drink in her hand.
Oh, Madison.
Yeah,
Madison's Mephisto.
But it's not spelled how you like think.
But it's not what you think.
Elsa Bloodstone was great. She really was. Lord Donnelly did a great job, and it says right here that that part of what drew her to the character was the fighting capability and being able to do the stunt work associated with her action scenes, which they did let her do. So that's her doing the majority of, like, you know, of the actual action scenes and the fight scenes and the combat scenes. She does look pretty athletic. I thought that, again, the pacing of this was really well done. You know, like the fact that they did do it in just less than an hour, did it as like a TV special, like, you know, like a TV movie. The pace was great. Like, it really was. Like, I never felt like, I don't mean to move ahead, but I never felt like at any point in the whole special it got boring, or like it got flat, or the energy ran out, or whatever, you know, or like it missed a beat or whatever. It felt like it kept me in. Like, it tied me in the whole time. And you know, coming off of whole like Ulysses like corpse deal, like talking to everybody, that shit was hilarious. Like, it was funny as shit. If it was supposed to be funny, I hope it was supposed to be funny. It sounds like we got some like drive-in porno scraping shit or going on or whatever in the background. I'm not sure, but either way, bottom line, no, the pacing was great. I loved it. And honestly, I think that if you think about it, this basically was like a Disney Plus episode in a way, like, you know, so it makes sense to transition to like a 6-episode type deal with this character. I think that Gail Garcia Bernal did an excellent job as Jack Russell. You know,
I honestly believe this is not going to be the last time we see these type of characters.
Oh no. Honestly, I wouldn't be with Gail Garcia Bernal did such a great job as Jack Russell that I wouldn't be surprised if they end up spotlighting this, you know, Werewolf by Night more in the MCU maybe than they did in the comics.
Yeah, and I think that's something that Marvel has been doing with a lot of their characters, is taking some of their lower tiered characters and putting them in a better spotlight. Like, Iron Man. No one was looking for Iron Man in the first place. No one was looking for Guardians of the Galaxy like that. So to put somebody like this to highlight, to do a Moon Knight series, to now do a Werewolf by Night series, they're saying, let's take some of these lesser known characters, let's bring them to the forefront, because we definitely have plans for these characters, and there's a lot of history behind some of these characters. And they're going into a realm that was normally they're going to a realm now that they, other than Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness, they haven't really touched, and that's horror.
Very true. Very true. Thank you all. All right, moving on. So, so after that kill, that's when it pans back to Jack, and we see him searching in the maze, and all of a sudden he's standing in front of kind of like it's like a bush, and all of a sudden two hands come out and grab him, and then we find out that it's Man-Thing, aka Ted. And a lot of people are probably wondering, why is he named Ted? Well, that's his real name. That's
Theodore
what his name was
Salas.
before he became Man-Thing. He was Dr. Theodore Ted Salas. And that was his original name when he was first created. He basically is Marvel's version of Swamp Thing, is basically who he is. And so we get introduced to Man-Thing. Him and Jack are having a conversation. He's like, I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to save you and stuff like that. Yeah, I know, this and that and stuff like that. And they have like a little conversation. And basically after they have that conversation, that's when, basically it goes to another hunter shows them approaching. Which is that really tall, thin lady that was wearing the all-white suit.
Yeah.
And she approaches and then chases Jack, and he runs into a crypt that's where Elsa happens to be. And she starts to say something, but he closes the door before she can say anything. She's like, "Don't close it. We'll get locked in here." And that's when they get stuck in the crypt. And so basically they're stuck in the crypt. And that's when basically they kind of have this like conversation and all this kind of fun stuff. And as they're stuck in there, as they're having the conversation, basically, he's like, if you help me with this and stuff like that, you can have the Bloodstone and all this kind of stuff. And as they have a conversation, it kind of evolves. She kind of doesn't seem to really be into it. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she gets up and goes and starts climbing the coffins. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And she basically starts to explain that, one of these coffins is her old crazy aunt. And she said if she ever came back, she wanted a way to get out of the crypt. And so basically she starts breaking into it. And she ends up finding some keys. And that's able to allow them to get out of the crypt. Now, before we go on, I don't know if anybody noticed, but on the coffins, there are names on the coffins. This is actually an Easter egg that they put into the special. There are the names of the creators of Werewolf by Night and Man-Thing on those crypts, on those coffins. The names that you see are combinations of two of the people that are involved with creating them, such as Loop and Thomas. Their names are on there and stuff like that, which I thought was a cool little Easter egg before we move on from that. So they have that conversation. They finally, they get out. They get out of the crypt after finding the keys. And so kind of going off of that, what was everyone's thoughts on that crypt sequence? Did you enjoy the combo? Did you find anything interesting about it? And just what were your overall thoughts of that whole crypt sequence? Starting with you, Chris.
I like how Elsa, when she's talking about her aunt, and she finds the weapon. Number one, she finds her weapon in there, and she's just kind of like, "Oh, I can use that for later," And she was literally remembering a story about her aunt, and realizing she has keys in there because they used to tell her this story to basically keep her in line, to keep her scared, but to keep her in line. And she gets these keys, and she's like, "Boom, voila!" But the tall woman in white has possibly, next to the other major scene, one of the best kill scenes that I've seen in that episode, like in this presentation. I thought it was such a dope kill scene that she has, because it just shows you the athleticism of Elsa. Like, yeah, you deserve to be here, and everybody else is just cannon fodder at this point, So you know what you're here for. You know what belongs to you. Everybody else is just in your way.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Loki's mom. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it sort of slows it down, and it sort of does like it also paced like how those movies would have been back in the 50s and 40s, and how they would have the action scene set up, and then it'd be like the sort of creepy slows, and then they would have that little middle scene where the leads can sort of hook up, the male and female lead can sort of have a little moment together, and we see that with Jack and Elsa. So and of course there's a little banter between them. She's kind of a smart ass, and he's sort of still doing his, he's sort of so passive in this. He's been very passive this whole time. And of course, I think we all know what it's leading up to, but theoretically we're not supposed to know who he is. But anyway, so yeah, I thought it was, just like I said, they matched that type of genre real well, and that's one of the A pluses. But I'm gonna go back to what Jeff had said a little bit about, or you guys, about rejuvenating it. I think so. I think, and honestly, I don't think the TV Marvel has been bad at all. I mean, I think with the exception of She-Hulk, I actually I didn't look at Ms. Marvel when it first came out, but I have recently just looked at it, and I thought that was just a wonderful TV show. Very well done. I mean, I think all of them have been pretty good. I mean, not as, some have been better than others, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was just I think it was the movies that have just been such a down thing. They just never could get synced up. So yeah, hopefully that we're seeing the end of this, and I've got some high hopes for Black Panther 2 and Wakanda Forever. So we'll see. But yeah, good shot in the arm, absolutely. This particular show, well needed right after She-Hulk.
Excellent, thank you, Stacy. Your thoughts?
I don't know if I was watching the same movie as you guys, because when you guys kept saying the lady, all I was thinking was she looked like David Bowie.
She did look like David Bowie.
I swear to God, I thought it was a man the whole time. And when you guys start saying that is the female, I'm like, what? Female in white.
She did look very much like David
Is it
Bowie.
a she?
Well, her character's called Azrael, so I'm thinking she's probably more androgynous.
Androgynous. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, the hair.
David Bowie.
Right?
Yeah, definitely David Bowie.
Right? And the way the way that the way she died, like as a female, and I'm an actress, I don't want to die like that. I don't want something straight to my head like that. Like push me off a cliff, maybe, like the one Black Widow scene, maybe do that. But that whole situation was, I don't know, that was a little crazy. But my thinking is that somehow, some way, this is just an introduction to a whole nother set of Avengers. Like introducing all these characters, and then somehow they all come together. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Because why waste all the time introducing all these people and you never see them again, or these characters you never see them again? I'm still sitting here waiting for Loki. Like I'll go back on there and be like, did the season start again? Is it gonna start? So yeah, that's just I was still stuck on that character for a little bit. So that's where my head was at. The shit podcast. That's all they do. Get stuck on the characters.
Awesome, thank you. All right, DC, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was my mandatory bathroom break. They was talking too much for me. I got up and walked away. It was playing in the background, but I got up and walked away for a second. Had to stretch my legs and everything. I've been sitting there for a while, so I missed some of the meaningful parts of that conversation. Like I peeked in every now and then and seen them going rummaging through drawers, but I thought that was just it slowed it down too much for me. It was It was already long. It was already late in the night. I apologize. They was just talking too much. I didn't really care for the heart-to-heart moment they was having. I just wanted to see more gore and action, man. That's all I was.
Yeah, that's where I was at. I kind of drift off when they were in. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I just saw them sitting there talking, and then it jumped off to weird people. You like action and blood and guts.
Well, I mean, it sets up what's, it's expository. It tells us what's going on, and we know a little bit more about her background and whatnot. So that's what I got from it.
Yeah, they set it up pretty nice. It just wasn't for me. It just at that moment I had something else more pressing, and it was just that wasn't it. I caught the gist of it. I got that out of it. It was, telling her story and what made her tick and all that. But at that moment, I didn't really care. I'm not gonna lie. When I go back and watch it, I'll make sure that part I watch first, so I can really find out who Mrs. Bloodstone is and what makes her the bloodiest stone there is.
That's true.
All right. Thank you. Jeff, your thoughts, sir?
Well, essentially, Elsa is like she's the heir of Ulysses. Like she's the most gifted monster slayer or monster hunter, like in the Bloodstone family, besides Ulysses. And she inherits the Bloodstone from him in the comics. And like she's trained like basically almost like from birth, like from hunting and fighting and killing monsters. That's all she does. She actually has a relationship with Deadpool in the comics, believe it or not. So there you go. But bottom line, I definitely got the David Bowie vibe from the one Ezreal character or whatever and whatnot. Looked exactly like David Bowie, like without question. It was like a body double.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was like David Bowie's butt double. You know what I'm saying? But anyways,
David
so
Bowie's
no,
action figure.
I don't think David needed.
there you go. No, he didn't. But no, I think everybody pretty much covered the scene. I mean, pretty accurately and whatnot already. All I would really add is just that, again, as we progressed, it just continued getting good. Like it didn't get 10 times better. It didn't blow up as we went. It just stayed consistent and it was solid. And I feel like that's what's been that's what's been lacking in the Disney Plus series has been consistency across the span of a whole 6-episode or 9-episode series. That's where Miss Marvel killed it. Is that you can say what you want about Miss Marvel as a character, but across the span of the 6 episodes that they had, the shit made sense. The story made sense. It worked. It flowed from episode to episode to episode. The finale was straight. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't fucking mind blowing and shit or whatever, but it was good. It wasn't a joke. Like fucking Moon Knight.
And it was light, and it was lighthearted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yet they still made it entertaining for adults enough to where I could tune in and watch it and enjoy it. So I feel like that's what I got from this really was the consistency. The fact that even when they had action scenes, things were pretty even keeled. They weren't really like all that like blow your mind or anything like that and whatnot. It was more horror like film type action scenes. And yeah, Ted was awesome. He was dope, man. He really was. Like seriously, I love the fact that nobody can understand him but fucking Jack Russell.
Yes, thank you. And just to talk a little bit more about that actress, Eugenia Bondurant is who played Azrael. And she actually is a model, an actress, a singer, a photographer that's from Louisiana. So, yeah, I mean, she definitely, if she's a model, I can see why she kind of had that androgynous look with her. Yeah, I can see most definitely. But, yeah, that's a woman. That's an actual woman, just FYI. So,
Okay.
yeah, very, very
Thank
manly
you for the
looking.
clarification.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome back, William.
Thank you, sir. I saw y'all was still here, so I figured I'll hop back on.
Yes, sir. We're still here. Yeah. So we're talking about the conversation between Elsa and Jack inside the crypt when they get stuck in there. That is where we're at. We're about to proceed past that, sir. So that's where we are at. We were just talking a little bit about that.
Okay.
All right. So after they get out of the crypt, basically Jack explains to Elsa if she's to encounter Ted, basically what to do. To basically look him in the eyes and call him Ted, and that he's here to help. And so after that happens, they separate, and Elsa ends up finding Ted. There is when basically Jovan pops up again, and they basically have kind of a little battle, and basically Ted grabs Jovan and disintegrates him with his man thing powers, and it reminded me of in Iron Man 3, basically Guy Pearce's ability at having that ability he has that he created where he's able to like basically melt. And that's what it kind of made me think of, the same thing. So I think that's kind of funny that like that's how it was. I think that's funny. But yeah, so that's all right. Okay, so moving on from that. So basically that, Man-Thing ends up killing Jovan. And basically, after he does that, he's like starts kind of looking at Elsa and like about to kind of like rage on her. And she's like, Ted, I'm going to find you here and I'm going to help you get out of here. And basically, Jack went this way and he's trying to help you too. And so basically Ted hears his name and it's like, kind of like, okay, you are on our side type of deal, which I think is kind of interesting. And he's like, stops in his track, not doing anything to her and stuff like that. And so after she calls him Ted and puts him, basically puts his defenses down, he ends up following Elsa and they end up going through the maze towards the wall. And that's when we see, Jack get to the wall and he's like trying to put that bomb thing on it to blow it up so that Ted could get out. And he puts it on the wall and then it falls off. And he's like, oh crap. He's like, and he goes back over and he kind of puts it in the crack and it finally blows it up. And as soon as it blows up, that's when Elsa and Ted get there and he sees that it's blown up and he goes to the wall and then gets out and we see him running away. And and basically you kind of hear his noises and stuff as he's running into the forest, which was really cool. I don't know if anybody knew this, but actually majority of Ted, aka Man-Thing, was actually a animatronic puppet. Yeah. It was very little CGI because the director, Michael Giacchino, he wanted to use practical effects as much as possible. And they actually ended up creating a life-size animatronic of Man-Thing to use in the film, which I think made a big difference, especially because they went black and white. That just showed up and looked better in the black and white. Yes. So I think that's really impressive. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about that sequence, Man-Thing coming in and killing Jovan a little bit here. I think that's kind of a cool scene to talk about. So what was everyone's thoughts on that sequence? What did you think about Man-Thing popping up like he did? And what did you think of the special effects in that sequence? What did you think? Do you think he did a good job? Do you think that that was true to who Man-Thing is? And do you think it made Ted even more fun to be around? Starting with you, Lokismom.
Ted is just adorable. I think he's going to be the next big thing after Baby Yoda. Say that? This Christmas, every kid's going to want a Man-Thing doll. But
look out to the elbow. There's Man-Thing.
There's Man-Thing.
Don't play with your Man-Thing.
This Man-Thing doll real quick, man.
Then there'll be the Pornhub, the porn drive-in version of Man-Thing.
Hey, he gonna be in a kid's Happy Meal before
Imagine a knockoff of that.
He gonna be in a kid's Happy Meal before you know it, boy.
But yeah,
Mom, why is his trunk so long?
Why is his trunk so long, man?
That and the next, and you know what else? The bands will be having gas wired up to their tubas, their marching bands with the flames. Anyway, that I think that was my favorite part, the tuba. But anyway, getting back to Cyber's question. Yeah, but there again, it's just bringing in the action and how he kills Jovan and just and just that whole. There again, it keeps going back to that vibe that they really are staying real consistent to that melodrama. I guess that's what we call it, that melodramatic type vibe to it. And so yeah, I only high marks for Man-Thing.
Excellent, thank you, Stacy. Your thoughts?
When I first met the character in the black and white, I was like, oh my god, did they really go cheap on this character? Just because I saw the eyes and then the hands, and I was like, it seems really, really cheap. But then, as you get to see the character and learn that it's really very innocent type character, like, you're getting to see the aspect of the both monsters that they're hunting, and you realize like the hunters are really a bunch of assholes. Can I say assholes? Yeah.
You already said it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love when they do that, and then they ask after it's done. I love when they do
I
that.
say
I'm like,
fuck. Can we say fuck? No. Oh.
I know, but I forget sometimes. I realize I'm not on my show, so I gotta like be careful. Anyways, yeah, but
this MCU bleeding edge. Careful for what?
Like he was just talking about porn drive-ins and everything else.
Hey, we're Kevin Feige Disney Plus PG rated. Okay, all right. Come on now.
Okay.
I know, but my swear jar is filling up, so I got 2 kids that are constantly like swearing. You're swearing.
Square butt. That ain't about nothing right there, boy. Woo! That ain't nothing. Get a lot. That's torture right there.
I think they needed to make her suit a little bit smaller. That's their fault.
Bologna sandwich got more meat than that, boy.
I want to see the porn drive-in with Man Thing and Bree.
Gee,
Oh shit!
Wow.
No.
Oh.
All right.
Good luck with that.
Was there anything else, Stacy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still recuperating from that picture.
Okay.
Yeah,
Man,
that. No. Well, you know what? No, I love the character. I like the fact that it's the antagonist in this whole thing. So, no, I would love to see it again. Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you. William, your thoughts, sir?
Man, that scene brought a little bit of somewhat of a comedic aspect, just a little bit of a comedic aspect to it, or something that was deemed serious at the time. And I agree with Stacy. You sort of kind of thought the same thing when you first saw the eyes coming out from the bushes in the scene earlier. You kind of sort of thought, this is gonna be Kitty. But then when you saw Man Thing that's come through the wall, just like the Kool-Aid Man, you will just awesome, just awesome. And that was a great scene for me. That was a great scene. Okay, like I say, I've been waiting on Man Thing to come. I've been waiting on Man Thing to come to the MCU, and we've been waiting for years, and it's about time we got him. But I thought it was a great scene. And also to see old girl look down and kind of figure out, she finally figured out I got used and abused, and to see her reaction on her face, yeah, that scene was worth it. It was worth it. Hey, Facebook user, you absolutely right. But I thought just to see her face after everything went down the way it did, it was worth it.
Excellent. Thank you, William. Chris, your thoughts, sir?
Number one, I am glad they went practical and didn't overdo it with CGI, because the black and white aesthetic mixed with the practical, it just worked. It worked. And when he does his fear touch, it has a nicer ass to breathe. Yeah, when he does his fear touch, yeah, it was very true to Man Thing. Very much true. Those who fear him will burn by his touch. So yeah, I like how they did it. I loved his look. You can't help but love Ted. Ted is going to be the next Groot. That's what he is this year. You know, everybody wants Ted now.
I'm telling you, he's gonna be in Everybody Happy Meal next.
For real.
Everybody have Baby Groot, Baby Yoda, Baby Man Thing. It'll be Everybody Happy Meal pretty soon. Tell him.
He's like, we gotta market this
from Bumble. Fuck you.
Yes, Steve.
Damn.
Yes, Steve.
Steve, whatever you did, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
What did
Steve.
Steve do? Who is Steve?
Who
I
knows?
don't know, but fuck him.
Steve is Brie Larson's blood double.
Makes
She
sense.
need one, boy. She need one.
All right. Thank you, Chris. DC, your thoughts, sir?
I missed the question. There was a lot going on. I heard butt doubles and Brie Larson and fear touches and piggyback rides, and it was a lot of shit going on. In between you asking the additional question and then getting to me.
So the question is,
You gotta get him first.
Is the
You gotta go to
sequence?
him first.
Yeah, you gotta come to me first because I'll get lost in all this sauce. There's a lot going on. I was like, so when it come to me, I know what I was
like
gonna say, but
72.
then I got here and I was like,
let me go
42. 60
Like
guys
this.
could do.
All right. So we were talking about the Man Thing sequence where it shows him disintegrate Javon and Elsa talking to him. That's what we're talking about. So what were your thoughts on that scene?
It was pretty well done. I did like him coming out the shadows. It was a little creepy. It played into the whole horror, scary, and then it played into the fear touch. Which can we not call it that? Can we call it something else? Because that just feels like a lawsuit waiting to happen.
No, it's been going for as long as
actually
you've been around. It's
true.
the fear. Yeah, that's
It's
what it's called.
true.
The fear touch. It's
Yeah,
fear touch.
okay. I didn't know.
That's his power.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not like
That's
the
a weird
no
power.
place.
That's something that get you caught up in Cleveland. But
No,
but I think it was well done. It didn't look over the top as far as him disintegrating. It didn't look like they tried to put too much in it to oversell it. It was simple yet effective. Didn't know about the animatronic. That's a good little tidbit because I thought that was CGI. So it was well done.
I
The
just
whole
got a question
thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you guys: do you think they should keep the black and white aesthetic and ditch the color? Because we got the color at the end. Should we keep the black and white aesthetic?
Yeah, it looked
You mean
weird
for
in
this
color.
particular type of show, or for this show, or
This
just
particular type of show.
I think that show period looks good in black and white.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
It really does. The
'Cause it gives
flashes
you that
of red and-
nostalgic,
Yeah, I mean,
like I
if
said,
it's
how
an
old
anthology-
Nosferatu stuff and
If it's an anthology like series, which where they're not going to do like Werewolf, they'll do something else next. Like maybe vampires or whatever.
yeah.
Keep it to that. That
as long as
format
it stay black and white, I'm good with that.
Man, keep
Yeah.
black and white. Yeah.
It's something about it. It just made it pop. I guess
Aesthetically
you know?
pleasing. Like
Yeah. Even from the intro and everything, like the intro gave you that vibe and everything. So it was
He
like,
didn't
yeah,
say
this works.
The Bleeding Edge is endorsing Mad Thing to direct the second Eternal film.
Jesus Christ.
That thing was terrible. Trash.
All right, thank you, DC.
That movie was trash.
It was.
Straight trash.
I don't want to get into it. My thoughts about it because it got weird.
Only best thing about it was
I have one
The
question.
best part was the ending.
Well, the credits, yes.
Best thing when it was over. That was the
I
best
have one
part.
question though. When the hand came out the world and there's a half a head sitting out the world, and it's like 6 movies after that, nobody noticed this fucking head coming out the world and this head. Like this shit just
They did in She-Hulk, but that's about it.
Where in She-Hulk?
There's literally an article that says a weird formation in the ocean they were talking about.
Yeah, but
They
still,
they alluded to that and Wolverine.
nobody went to clean this shit up. Like there's a hand literally sticking
How do you
out
clean
of the
that
world
up?
and a
There'd be cruise
head.
ships all around that thing.
Yeah, like they
Like, we
dropped
live
the
in
they dropped the
Cleveland, like,
fucking
where the
pearl in the
lake caught
ocean and they
fire.
went searching for that shit for 3 years. There's a head sticking out the world and nobody just twiddling their thumbs like Nick Fury ain't like, there's something to do over there. No, everybody just like ignoring. It's like they literally was like this.
Oh, Nick's off.
If we don't look
Nick
at it,
was
it
off
doesn't
world. We leave
exist.
Nick
What
out
the
of this.
fuck?
Like it's a timeout. Like we on
They dropped the
timeout. We don't
Tesseract
see
in the middle of the
nothing.
ocean. Them niggas searched for that shit for 6 years.
We on timeout. We don't see nothing.
They treated it with Kevin Spacey showing up for work at the elementary school.
Oh my
shit.
god,
That's even
Oh,
more reason to
man.
go check that shit out. Like that shit was nobody thought to look for this. There's a head literally sticking out the
Head
earth.
in a hand.
And a hand. And we've not heard nothing. Nobody's talking. It ain't on nobody's radar nowhere.
No,
I'm not trying to get off subject. I just want to ask people who
no,
like there's nothing.
No,
Not
nothing.
even they ain't even seen Hawkeye's little lazy eye thing to go look at it. Nothing. No scans of the earth. No maps. Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm sorry to get off on a tangent. That just irks me. That the continuity
point,
of
though.
that Nobody went to. There's nothing. There were 6 movies after this.
Defenders to go look at it.
Nothing. Hell, send Iron Fist with the little glow fisty stick of death.
Go look at it.
Something.
Yeah, I get what you're talking about because that's what they kind of did in She-Hulk too. Because if anybody remembers, there was those little cameos at the end of She-Hulk that they did with that one gentleman that was, that they never ended up wrapping up his story. They did the same thing. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like around the same thing. That's Marvel for you. They don't. Sometimes they just don't think. I think
it's like they got HD. They start suddenly and be like, "Ooh, look at this over here, shiny."
They forget.
Well,
they forget. You said it was shiny. What you do? Shiny. Like,
like a cat with a sparkles. Like a cat with a new toy.
There's a hand sticking out. Forget that. Look at this shiny.
Well, now. In most black people's defense, they were just like, you know what? I ain't got nothing to do with this, and I'm going to go this way.
Exactly.
William, can I talk? Thank you.
Sure, go ahead. I'm sorry.
If Loki had succeeded and took over planet Earth, now wouldn't he have felt like an asshole when that thing blew up?
I agree.
I seem to have messed up over here.
Just think about that.
I've made a mistake, sir.
It was really bad mistake.
What if?
But we would have been like, you know what? That's none of our business, so we're just gonna.
But even still, like, not one person.
We're gonna leave that alone. They ain't got nothing to do with us.
They can find Bucky in the middle of nowhere. Yes. They found Wakanda twice and lost it twice.
Yep.
But nobody has seen this damn head and hand sticking out of the world.
They should have an episode of What If. They should have an episode of What If called What If some fucking head just poked out of the goddamn fucking earth one day.
Exactly.
Like that.
See, now I want an episode for next season, and What If I want an episode that deals with that now.
No, I want them to deal with this shit now. We've had 6 movies since that happened, and nobody has dealt with this.
Reverend.
That is a good point.
Nobody. This keeps me up at night. I don't think y'all realize how that keeps me up at night.
Wait, D, were you the one that wrote the article and put it in She-Hulk? Were you that one?
Yes, because I was pissed because I'm like, why is this hand not found?
Why is it still here?
So
what
just,
purpose
just
does it
to
serve?
Talk a little bit, just to get you a little bit more sanity there, DC, on that. There was actually an article that came out shortly after Eternals popped out, and that was one of the questions that they were talking about was the head in the sea. And they're saying that actually is going to lead to actually the bringing in of Galacticus. That's going to bring him into the fold.
So is that his brother, his mother? Like, how the fuck is he?
No, he's a celestial.
Did you say Galacticus?
No, Galacticus.
Well, that's why I had to ask. I'm like, is that just...
No, Galacticus.
Galacticus. Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes. But but Cyber, that leads to so many other questions because like if he shit. Okay.
What the hell that come from?
More questions.
More questions.
Hey, we got hot dogs.
Okay, but before we get back to Werewolf Night, let me ask you this: how does that help anything? Because if Galactus shows up and be like, "Oh shit, I'm here to identify the body. Damn, that's my cousin," that does still not affect the continuity that nobody else knew about this motherfucker. And this nigga's like this. He's like 4,000 miles away, and he knows that this thing is coming out the ocean, but nobody on Earth knows.
And not only that, but somebody got to pay for that. At some point, somebody got to pay for that, and the Fantastic Four ain't been exactly casted just yet. So what you gonna do?
Yeah, somebody. Tony Stark gone, so he ain't got the money no more.
Gone, so you know.
So there will always be a lot of questions. Unfortunately, that's just how that is.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's all good.
Just that it irks my soul. Like that hand is still.
Yeah,
we have the Hubble telescope, and we still can't find it. They can tell me there's water on Mars, but we can't find a head on Earth.
Let's face it. There's a lot of things that happen in Eternals that have no questions or have no answers for.
I apologize. I shouldn't have brought up Eternals.
You shouldn't have, because that's my one bugaboo in the Marvel universe. I can even get with Thor
Jeff,
Dark World.
Now, You know
I
what's
can get with
button now,
Thor
Jeff?
Dark World
That's his
and
button.
Love and Thunder, but that bullshit.
You know his button now, Jeff. That's his button.
That's my
Werewolf by
bugaboo.
Night.
That's his bugaboo. That's his button. You know not to touch it
Sorry,
now.
Werewolf by Night. Man thing.
Yeah.
All right.
That scene
All right,
was
so let's
amazing.
get back on track here, guys. All right, enough about Eternals. All right, so Jeff, let's finish off this round of this question, please. Do you have any thoughts?
Yes. I think that basically, if I remember correctly, where we're at, this would be where we actually do get the imprisonment or like the cage scene with
No, we haven't
with
gotten
Jack
there yet.
Beforehand.
No,
Okay.
we talk
All
about
right.
the Man Thing scene
Mhm.
where he kills Javon and Elsa's talking to him.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just again, totally love Ted Man Thing. Awesome. Freaking got to get a T-shirt for him and whatnot and everything. He's a smash. Like seriously, he's the best thing I've seen since Alligator Loki, without question.
He don't want the alligator. Loki. Damn.
He was all for the smoke.
He was.
I'm waiting for you to wear a T-shirt of it, Jeff, because if he's such
I'm
a
going to.
bro, you need to see.
You know
need
him
to see
personally.
bro.
Where's the shirt?
Shout out to the comment section about Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is dope as shit in DC too. Swamp Thing is
Yes,
a bomb.
he is.
Oh,
Yes, he
yeah.
Like
is.
seriously.
And a battle
Swamp
between
Thing is
them two, and a battle between them two can go for a very long time.
Yes.
And he's very different than Man Thing. I'll tell you right now, he's on a different
Yeah.
level.
He's on a
Like,
different
than what
level.
Man Thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, he's far more tragic. Yeah, far more
Yeah.
tragic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
You call Swamp Thing
Alright.
Ted, he'll be like, "Are you fucking kidding me, bro?"
So moving on. So before Man Thing runs out of the wall, Elsa grabs the bloodstone off of him and basically falls on the ground, and Jack goes to pick it up, and basically it like stuns him. And he's on the ground there, and all of a sudden Barusa pops up and basically explains, oh, the bloodstone only does this to monsters. And so basically we're saying that secretly Jack is a monster of some sort. So then that's when we get to the cage scene where they're both Elsa and Jack are now in a cage. Jack, as him and her in the cage, he kind of talks and says, there's another part of me that only comes out once a month, and I usually lock myself up so nobody has to deal with that. I have control of myself right now because I'm just myself now. And, basically as they're kind of talking and stuff like that, she kind of explains that's the reason why we're in the cage, that they can turn you into the monster with the bloodstone. And you basically find out that the bloodstone has these powers that's able to do these things. So that's when basically all the hunters, the remaining hunters that are still there, come in. Barusa's, they're all behind masks. And basically, at one point, Jack's like, Elsa, just keep eye contact with me and say my name and stuff like that to keep me from, mauling you basically to death. And he basically snips her so that he kind of has a memory of her. So when he does turn into Werewolf by Night, maybe his having a scent will help him keep him from, going crazy on her. So after, basically he's kind of pleading with Barusa, and she's like, basically ha 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 type of deal, and says, we're going to show what you really are, and Elsa, how disappointed I am in you and that kind of stuff. And basically that's when she takes the bloodstone and basically charges, Jack, and basically makes him transform. He basically transforms. It kind of goes into like a mist. You can't really see him or anything. But you can hear and you kind of see him transforming a little bit. And out of nowhere, it's like he like grabs Barusa by the arm and pulls her in, and it goes up to a close eye up on her eyes. Very, very, monster film from the 30s and 40s type of deal. That was very common in those types of films. And basically then all of a sudden it's kind of like silence, and it just pans around the room with all the different people all the guard people that are there with Barusa, and all of a sudden you see the top of the gate is broken open, and all of a sudden out of nowhere comes this beast, and it starts beating the crap, and we have this very long extended kind of fight sequence with Werewolf by Night kicking the butt out of all these guards and stuff like that. We get a little bit of a fight sequence between Elsa and Azrael, where basically she ends up taking her out, and with the help by Werewolf by Night. we see a whole bunch of great sequences. We go into like this kind of like tunnel little section where it shows Werewolf and he's kicking the butts out of the guards. And we see blood splattering and stuff like that, which was really cool. You know, as we mentioned earlier, we're saying that we're finally getting the blood and stuff to go down that kind of R-rated type of feel, making it very monstery. And basically, we see you know, Werewolf by Night take out all these guys, and then once they're all done, basically we have Elsa and Werewolf by Night kind of standing in front of each other, and she's like, you know, Jack, is that you still? And he comes kind of out of the shadows and like kind of up close to her and kind of on top of her, and he kind of sniffs her, and then, you know, she keeps saying his name, and he kind of realizes it, and then he basically disappears. Then that's when Barusa pops back up and basically is like, Elsa, you did this, blah, 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 and stuff like that. And basically about to kill her. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, from the top of the building, Man-Thing comes back in and disintegrates her, just like he did with Javon, which was really awesome. And so basically, after Barusa has been killed, Man-Thing looks at Elsa, and Elsa's like, Jack went that way. And he's like, oh, okay. And he goes off. And then it shows that like a servant guy come up. He's like, oh, Miss Bloodstone and stuff like that. And she goes and she sits down with the Bloodstone in the seat. And then all of a sudden it goes from black and white to color. And for some reason, the background Over the Rainbow is playing, which I thought was kind of eloquent for that sequence.
That was cool.
And so that's playing in the background as it turns to color. And then after that sequence, it goes black and then gets back up. And then we go out to somewhere in the wilderness. It shows basically Jack back in human form, waking up inside of a thing and walking out, and Man-Thing's there. And they kind of have a funny little combo. They kind of laugh with each other. And Man-Thing kind of like says, oh, I saved you. And he's like, what are you talking about? I saved you. And basically, that's how it ends. So, let's talk a little bit about that end sequence there. What were you guys' thoughts on the whole action sequence at the very end? What were your thoughts? What did you think of the ending? And just overall, what was your thoughts on this presentation by Marvel? Starting with you, Lokismom.
Yeah, I think it wrapped it up pretty well. I mean, it gave us what we expected to see, which was Jack turn into the werewolf. Of course, he's there. I'm assuming the reason he's there is to save Man-Thing. That's yeah. I don't think it's really stated, but I think that's kind of obvious that, you know, that's what he's there for. Yeah, and so when they finally, and there's that in the cage when there's another little interlude there again. There are two of them together, sort of a little romantic, and then it gets a little where he realizes what's going to happen if, you know, so he starts smelling her so he can get her scent and everything. She becomes familiar to him, and then just for her own protection. And then of course all the monster hunters come in and they do the thing to him, and then he transforms. And then of course they don't realize how powerful he is because he does escape. And then some more great fight scenes, some good sword action. Certainly we get to see a little bit more sort of that gruesome type horror action that you would see, you know, the sword to the head and then it slowly falls over, you know. That was well done and everything. And then and then when it gets finally to the end, of course, you know, what's her face, Urusa or whatever her name is, she gets her demise, and, you know, so all the villains are gotten rid of. And just as it would have been one of those movies, you have to have a happy ending. And then she's sitting there, and yeah, it was really weird because it's not Judy Garland singing that, but that whoever's singing that song is doing it definitely in that style from the movie, as she would have sang it in the movie. And then it fades into color, and then for some reason, I don't know why they would have done that, but anyway, then we're back on top of on the outside or whatever, and we have the little happy ending there. So yeah, just well done. I thought it was just a really good little gem that they just stuck in there. And hopefully the next special, I guess that's what they call it, a Marvel special. The next Marvel special, I think it's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. So hopefully that's going to be a lot more fun too. So yeah, I just really enjoyed the whole thing.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Stacy, same question.
I guess what kind of, it kind of fits the whole theme for it to switch from black to color, because I was just thinking it's the end. She succeeded. It's kind of almost like once she's got the stone in her hand, it makes her more of a Marvel character now. She's a Marvel superhero now. So the transition from the black to the color was like it was meant to be. And then now it's like, okay, we're bringing these people in. Like, this is the origin. Here's your origin. It's like combining all of it all in one. Here's the origin. Here's what happened. Here's the fight scene that we all wanted. And now here, they're Marvel characters because they're in color. So that whole like bam, 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 all in one like series or one episode was pretty neat to me, because it's like we put all 6 episodes in one movie. Like, to me, I feel like it was done. That was the end of it. And the thing that got me the most is probably the butler, because he was probably like just sitting there, just looking around, watching all of this go down with his stick in his hand, and then he's like, "Oh, is there anything else you need from me?" And it's like, clean up this mess. Okay, that's what was like the comedic factor in that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, clean this up. I'm gonna kill you too. Get you too.
And but yeah, the ending where he was crawling out, I think he's in the woods, like they're back in the maze, right? Is that what my understanding is?
At the end, no, they're
The
like
campsite.
Yeah, they're offsite somewhere.
Yeah, like offsite on a campsite or something like that. Yeah. And man thing made us some coffee.
Yeah, well, we know he could do that. But I remember him saying, he was asking Man Thing, Ed, is she okay? Like, he was and he was just like, yeah, she's fine. And so that's why I thought that he was still in the maze.
Awesome, thank you. William, same question, sir.
First of all, I got a question. How are you not supposed to be afraid of Man Thing? I mean, unless you have prep ahead of time, you're gonna be afraid.
Basically, like evil in your heart type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So like, if you're up to no good and you see something like that, you're just like,
typically just evil. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to say, you see that thing, you see Man Thing.
I mean, it's sort of like when you see Batman in the dark alley. You didn't do nothing.
You ain't do nothing.
You're just like, hey, I'm just steering clear of you. I'm just letting you know I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Listen,
I ain't got nothing to do with it.
I was more scared. I was more scared of Veruca. Is that her name?
Oh yeah, the evil chick. Yeah.
I was more scared of her and the Viking guy than Ted. To me,
because I thought when he actually grabbed the arm by the cage, I thought that arm was gone. That's what I thought. I thought the arm was gonna get ripped off. But no, it was you got everything you wanted. You got the action scene, you got the scene to where he knew who she was by what happened earlier. So that was cool. You also saw when she said he went that way, and Man Thing knew exactly who she was talking about and went to go after him. So I thought that in this scene was great. It was fantastic.
Awesome, thank you, William. Chris, your thoughts, sir?
Number one, probably the best version of a werewolf kicking ass I've ever seen. That was some really nice, tight fight scenes right there. Two, I love Man Thing. I love Ted coming in, doing his business, taking care of LaRussa because I just couldn't stand her. I'm like, good Lord, why are you here? This is like, why are you here? You can't do anything with it, but you're giving it away. So why are you here? It's not the only time we've had Ted mentioned in the MCU neither. His wife, Ellen Brandt, was in Iron Man 3. She took the Extremis serum.
Mm-hmm.
Maria Hill has mentioned him by name on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a matter of time. When is he showing up? But yeah, I love the whole werewolf scene, that whole smoke. It's basically smoke and mirrors. I love how they did that. The werewolf look was not the look I was expecting. but considering the aesthetic and the fact that he may not have even been fully transformed, because he even said he still had several days before the full moon even hit, but the stone pretty much forced it, so he may not even been fully transformed anyway. So, but just watching him take out these knockoff TBA agents, I guess you could say, but it looked good. It really did. Ted and Jack having that discussion of like, yeah, I saved you this time. It was like you could tell they're the best of friends. They watch each other's back, you know, and Man Thing just happened to get caught. You know, he was like, oh great, I gotta go save his ass again. You know, he's like that one guy, like y'all go out drinking and he just drank a little too much. He's like, I gotta go in here and get his ass. It's one of those things. But yeah, a lot of he was like, not again. You know, like, yeah, you did it again. But yeah, I like their back and forth. I know this is not the last time we'll see any of these three. I know they're setting the stuff up for later premieres somewhere down the line. Where don't know.
I don't mean to cut you off. Can we say Howling Commandos?
I would.
Can we?
The whole man thing language and shit and whatnot though, and him only being able to understand it and shit is only going to last for so long. If you had like a 2-hour movie of that shit, it would be boring as fuck.
You think? I mean, because it's like Man Thing isn't a man of. He's not a creature of many words,
right?
You know. He just has a relationship with Jack, so it just
and he understands too.
It'll be like I am Groot. That's all he says.
Yeah, I am Groot.
Talking to Man Thing and having a conversation with Man Thing is like talking to a chick on Snapchat.
Dang.
Sliding DMs and no answers. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, but I'm just saying, Howling Commandos is the perfect way to bring it back.
I'm all for Howling Commandos. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for that. Or a variation of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're already literally like who's left?
Got Blade.
Frankenstein. You know.
Kind of got Blade, yeah.
Yeah, you know. So it's they're not far behind. So it's like that, like I said, they're building. Marvel's doing something. They're challenging themselves, taking on different genres, and now they're in the
competition.
Nope,
none. They really don't. They
really don't. DC.
So now they're like, look, let's take the horror. Let's take the horror.
Okay, ain't nobody's competition. Come on, Jeff.
Hawkeye's the best Avenger.
Hell no.
Hell no. Hawkeye boring.
Hawkeye would look at you like, what?
What? You talking about me?
Like, I don't need to pick that hammer up. I'm good over here.
He knew he wasn't gonna be able to pick it up anyway.
Boring?
Right.
You guys said Hawkeye's boring?
No,
it's boring. He boring.
No one would say that. Nobody would ever say that. Stacy.
I said it twice. I don't know if you like listening.
I said it multiple times on this show. He boring. I've said it multiple times on this show. Hey, they ain't going back down from it. He boring. That should have been look, that should have been Kate Beckinsale's story regardless. Which would have turned out being anyway.
Last thing on Man
Thing. You mean Bishop. You mean Kate Bishop, William.
Kate Bishop.
I'm thinking
Kate Beckinsale is
story.
Underworld.
A different story. My fault.
Yeah.
I love her too, dog, on it.
Said Hawkeye on the title.
Just to talk about the consistency of the whole special again, the fact that they ended it with Ted and Jack Russell talking like that and chilling and hanging out and whatnot and shit. It was funny too, and like that just shows how good Gail Garcia Bernal is as an actor. Like he's very layered. He can do a lot of different stuff. He can be funny, he can be scary. He can be depressing, whatever. It was like a very light touch to wrap it up, So again, just very well done overall. Great ending.
Awesome, thank you. DC, your final
Vampire,
thoughts on
the
it.
werewolf like a wet noodle. I'm talking shit. No, it was cool. I liked it. It leaves room for openings for more. The werewolf wasn't aesthetically pleasing. as a werewolf compared to some other werewolves.
But I think it matches the old time type of werewolf.
Yeah, he looked weird. Like,
he looked a lot like if you ever saw the Lon Chaney Jr. version.
Yeah, he did.
So he doesn't really have what we would see, like we see werewolves where he looks like a real full, just a giant wolf, you know.
Yeah.
Got wolf legs. Yeah. He has more of his own body.
Yeah, he looked more human than werewolf.
Yeah.
Like he had a bad hair day. But no, I mean the ending was cool. It was, I don't know, again, the emotions of it, I didn't really care for it. I don't care about y'all friendship. As long as y'all ain't doing nothing weird, I guess it was cool. But as a series as a whole, man, it was wonderful. Like I said, it just wasn't what I expected going into it, but I was surprised at how good it was. The story was well told. They gave me blood, action, and guts, so I can live with it. They let somebody get stabbed in the head with a sword, and we had an arrow through a mouth, and it wasn't Hawkeye, so that was beautiful.
Say it again one more time. It wasn't Hawkeye. Say it again one more time.
Man, that shit.
Man.
Hawkeye is the worst Avenger ever. Like, he is Errol Flynn.
It wasn't Hawkeye.
Did you say Errol Flynn?
Yes, we'll save Errol for later. Yes.
Not Robin Hood Men in Tights. Just Errol Flynn.
So basically, what you're saying is you would be all right with
if Hawkeye was never around.
No, that's not what I said.
Yes, I would.
If you were in an
what purpose does he serve?
I'll take it to another level.
Hawkeye or is it Hawkeye or the actor?
No, it's Hawkeye. Period.
It's Hawkeye.
It's just the character.
I'm cool with Jeremy Renner.
I'm cool with Jeremy Renner. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's the character.
It's Hawkeye. Hawkeye to me is like Cyclops and Scott Summers. They serve no purpose. Like they just are there for ambiance.
Cyclops sucks.
Oh my God, William, brother, I've been trying to tell people for years Scott Summers is the worst person ever.
Hey,
people are like, oh my God, Scott Summers is the leader.
I'm gonna take it to another level. Hawkeye should never been an Avenger. I'll say that. That'll get enough people going. Hawkeye should never been an Avenger.
But sorry, let's not get off task. Yeah, anyway, so what I was saying was,
I got enough hate on me already from my Hawkeye heat.
Let me rein this back in. The show as a whole was good. I'm looking forward to what they do next. Because like I said, it gives me hope. It doesn't, renew some kind of spirit in me or anything like Jeff would try to make it some philosophical thing where I was at war with myself and Disney because they wasn't giving me what I wanted. It's just I was not sure how they were going to take some of these more mature properties and make them work in their Bambi, cut and paste, cookie cutter, cutesy world that they were, had going on up until this point.
And that should be credit to Disney because we talked about it on this show several times, Jeff, and we talked about Moon Knight and how they thought they would approach Moon Knight kind of kidding. For them to do what they did with this was amazing.
Yeah.
I think they should just make a Disney night. Like a Disney night, not a Disney Plus.
Well, they took like some of their more mature properties and put them in their own section, which is about as best as you can get it.
Yeah, you know, you can do.
Yeah. So when people say, "Oh, we don't want to," I'm like, "Look, if you have Netflix, it's the same feature. It's just the same feature.
Or just be a better parent and watch what the fuck your kids is doing. Why you got to ruin this shit for me? I got to get a whole special section. Don't make me feel like I'm going to fucking Family Video or Blockbuster and it's that shit behind the wall where all the dope videos.
You hear that? You hear that?
To get the Marvel shit.
You hear that?
Your heartbeat because people looking at you. Oh, look at him. He going to get some of that adult Marvel stuff. Little pervert.
Disney Plus got parental control for a reason.
They do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
They
saying?
all do. But that's another story for another time. But to wrap it up, Cyber, it gives me hope for some of the other properties that they have that can go in this manner.
All right, thank you. All right, folks, so that is all that she wrote about Werewolf by Night. As you can see, we got off into many other subjects as usual, because that's the MCU Bleeding Edge for us. That's just how we do it. Anyways, we want to thank the whole entire guest panel for being on tonight. You guys were all fantastic. We'll go around the table. Please plug your content. Please let people know where they can find you, and then we'll send us all off and get out of here. So, starting with you, Lokismom.
Yeah, I just hang out. I like to hang out with you guys whenever I can and enjoy talking to every one of you. Sometimes I hang out also over at the stockcard.forum.net, and that's the podcast of champions over there. And we also talk about Marvel and all kinds of things, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and R.R. Martin and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, check us out over there.
Awesome, thank you. Stacy.
Oh, well. I'm on some real shit. I'm on pretty much
On some real shit.
on some quiet shit. I'm always on some quiet shit. No, you can find me on pretty much anything, Apple, Spotify. Right now I'm working on my YouTube page, so I've been in the game probably about a year, so I'm still a newbie and still under a rock. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I enjoyed it very much. This is my first ever collaboration. So, like I said, it's such a pleasure meeting you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on too, Stacy. It was great, and hopefully we'll see you
It's
on
nothing
again.
like the first time.
Exactly.
Nothing like the first time.
And so if they look for just say the title of your podcast again one more time.
Some Real Shit podcast. Right now I just did an interview with a gentleman that's doing porn addiction. So that's the basis of not porn addiction, but that's the basis of
I was about to say
So if they just
those guys out there.
somebody's looking for you on one of the platforms, they just type that in and they'll find you on the platform.
Yeah, Some Real Shit podcast.
All
There's a
right.
picture of two of us on there. It's just there's, now that I realize, there's a lot of some real shit. There's a variation of
It just
some real
works.
shit.
It works.
It just works. That's all. It just works.
Yeah, we made up the name over a drunken night we went out shooting, and so that's how we came up with the name. So we just haven't changed it since.
Cool.
All right, awesome, thank you. And of course, William, please plug away, sir.
First of all, y'all can email me at IHateTheHellOutOfHawkeye.com. But on the real,
no wonder I had to put
that
one
sound like
negative
I
in
hate
mind.
that. That sound like I hate ScottSummers.org. That's what that sounded like.
there you go. I hate ScottSummers.org. There you go. Nah, just kidding. You can find me, the Geek Gauntlet Podcast, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. You can catch me over there every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. We talk DC, Marvel, comics, anime, you name it. We talk about it. Definitely catch me, Janae, Kat, and Shaw, the Geek Gauntlet Podcast, Saturday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome, thank you, William. And Chris, please plug away the Blurred's Eye View, please.
Blurred's Eye View. You can catch us on Facebook with that name right there, Blurred's Eye View. You can catch us on YouTube, Blurred's Eye View Podcast. You can catch us on IG, Blurred's Eye View. Go there, get to the link tree. It'll send you to all the socials, including Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitch channel is Blurred's Eye View 1. Thursdays at 9 p.m., Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow we are talking about Halloween or horror movie sequels that no one asked for.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah. And some of our favorite final girls and a bunch of entertainment news, because we talk about everything that everybody else here is talking about. We just tell it from a POC point of view.
There you go.
And we talk a lot of trash, so we have fun with it.
Trash. Like
Awesome.
trash.
Thank you.
YouTube,
thank
Spotify, Google, iHeart, Apple,
All of them.
all of that.
you. Awesome. DC, tell us about the What the Shit podcast, sir.
Before I do that, there's three things I need to get off my chest. One, we need to figure out
Scott
what the
Summers
fuck that
is-
hand and head is still doing,
you went with
and
that
why
one
nobody
first.
is fucking did
Everybody doing
that.
this
So
video about that.
second,
I thought he was going to do Scott
that.
Summers first, but you know.
second, why is Scott Summers still a thing and a leader? Can we fucking fire him now? He has poor. He's like,
Thank
Joe,
you.
you know what? Anyway,
Poor
Hawkeye.
leadership skills.
He's just a man with a
Thank you.
bow and arrow. He does nothing. He's like Robin Hood without stealing from people and giving people money. Stacy, please don't, because we all know
He shouldn't even
flies.
be an Avenger.
He flies through the sky shooting an arrow.
He shouldn't even be an Avenger.
Okay, I seen 4 cats on Slauson do that last week. They ain't an Avenger. Anywho, let's get over that right now.
He can be an Avenger because Nick Fury said he could.
He ain't doing nothing special.
Be no Avenger. No.
Okay, let me ask you this question.
You can put everybody in his spot.
Let me ask you this question. Would you be scared if you see him in a alley and he
because all you gotta do is move to the left or the right, he gonna miss.
I move to the left, I move to the right, and then I come in with that uppercut and it's over. That's it.
Anywho, you can find me on Pandora. What the shit is now officially on Pandora, iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, pretty much everywhere. If you type in what the shit, I've worked hard enough that it will pop up. Harder than they did to find that fucking hand and that head sticking out the earth. What the fuck is up with that? Anywho,
That's
sorry.
How you bring it back around.
That's a joke. That's how I learned from Dave Chappelle. You bring it off. That's how you close it. Anywho, you can find us everywhere. Instagram, what the shit _podcast. On Facebook, we are What the Stuff because Mark Zuckerberg won't let us be the shit, but fuck him too. He's probably a Hawkeye fan, so that's probably
that makes sense. That makes sense.
I heard, he probably is.
But I appreciate y'all, Jeff.
He looks like.
Shout out! Can I shout out Jeff? Jeff has been persistent to get me on here. We had a conversation for about a month now. He's been very persistent. I thank you and I appreciate you for bringing me out on here, man. I enjoy working with you. Won't be the last time. You are fucking amazing. Long-winded as hell, Jeff, but you are fucking amazing.
Can I say this? Can I say this to Stacy real quick? Can I say this to Stacy real quick? Hawkeye, if you took Hawkeye out and put in Ronin,
that'd be better. Yeah,
that's better.
That would be better.
Ronin, I like.
Ronin,
they're the
I like
same
Ronin. I like Ronin.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
No, they're not. No.
All he's doing is just adding.
That's like saying P. Diddy and Sean Combs is the same person. It's not the same person.
Nope, stop it. They're not the same person. They're not the same person. Nope.
They're not.
Ronin is a fucking savage. Hawkeye.
Hawkeye holds back. Hawkeye is a family man. Ronin is like, I ain't got nothing to lose.
Savage.
Exactly. Ronin said that Ronin done smoked that stuff with fuck it in it because he don't give a damn. Fuck it. He don't give a damn. He going after you.
Hawkeye has a comb over.
Yep.
Ronin has the shaved
shave head. He red.
He's a badass.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. The hair is
Ronin rides a motorcycle. Hawkeye drives a soccer van.
That's how you wrap that one.
That's how you finish that. That's the only argument I need.
Okay.
Soccer mom with the fucking little kid characters on the back where it's him and his wife, the little stick figures and the dog and shit. That's Hawkeye's right.
Yeah, the gold Dodge Caravan.
Yep, the whole Dodge Caravan.
The sliding.
You got best dad on the license plate. That's Hawkeye. You got best dad on the license plate.
I'm sorry, Jeff. It's because me and DC get going.
And Scott Summers drives a fucking Astro van. So.
Exactly.
They wave each other at the green light.
Hi, how you doing?
How you doing, Hawkeye? What's going on, man? How you doing, man?
Cyclops is another episode of The Bleeding Edge.
But no, I appreciate y'all. It's been fun. This has been amazing. Jeff, I appreciate you for being persistent and bringing me in.
Thanks for reaching out, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yes. Appreciate you reaching out, brother.
And
Cyber, you are one of the best moderators I've been around. You're very gracious because you've given us a lot of leeway. Most people be like, if y'all shut the fuck up right now. But you, sir,
I'm waiting on Cyber to hit it big. I'm waiting on Cyber to hit it big.
He's a testament of patience and willpower.
Take care of all the little people.
All right. Thank you, guys. You guys have been all great. You guys have been all very... Thank you for all your awesome talk and all your graciousness. Everything was fantastic tonight. Anyways, yeah, so if you enjoyed my moderating, of course, I just want to shout out my personal channel, Cyberneticshark. You can find me on all the different platforms. You can find me under Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. That's where I do a lot of my solo content. I do shorts. I do all that kind of good stuff, parodies, all that kind of good stuff. So definitely check that out too as well. Of course, I got to thank my wonderful co-host, Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge, for being in the amazing panel tonight. And you guys rock. So on Friday, we'll be discussing our first episode review of Andor, the Star Wars series that has been playing on Disney Plus for you guys. So keep us in mind. We'll be there live 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:35 Pacific, of course. And can't wait to talk to you guys again. So until next time, we'll catch you later.
Oh my God.
Galaxy.
Yeah. Someone at the door, John, now I'm here to stay. Tell me who the fuck gonna face the music. More brick lane, less screen time. Been cutting back on the daily usage. Long road for the road dogs, for the weird minds. From the soapbox, got BKTs on this bitch, so everybody getting rolled on, yeah. Yeah, everybody getting rolled on. Check all this credits on BMI, I'm just too kind to explain.